log monitoring, and Grafana used for system tracking resources, we can say memory utilization. And about my roles and responsibilities, so I have developed several API in this project. I have written unit test cases as well. That is all about me. Thank you.
Okay. One second. Private sales first and depending version. So you worked with databases like MySQL and
Nice.
Postgres, right? And
Mhm.
Postman back Postman and Kubernetes. So this Kubernetes, right? Like, what was your role? Like, how you would you use that Kubernetes for? Like, uh,
So in our organization, we build the image with the help of Docker, and after that we deployment with the help of Kubernetes. So there's some ham charts are there, so their like deployment file is there. So where we mention image and like replicas, multiple parameters are there. So with the help of we deploy our application.
okay. So there's an issue in production, like how would you just try to figure out the where the main issue is, the root cause for that?
So we can check the pod firstly, kubectl get pod. So we can get like pods status. We can check like it is an running or what status is going on. And after that we can check the we describe the pod, particular pod, and we can check reason. Maybe image pull off, back off, maybe. So like
I didn't mean pod. I mean in production. Suppose if there is an error comes in, like you have built a feature and it moved from QA and UAT and then prod. So
hmm.
if there is a issue in production, then what? How would you what's your procedure basically to fix that? Like the root cause analysis and the fix and everything,
Oh.
and the branching strategy. Would you go for a hot fix or how is it like?
Hmm. Okay, so for this, firstly, we check logs. What is a issue? First, we check like with the help of logs. So we can get log from the Kibana. So there we store the logs. So with the help of we can check and what exception is occurring, and like in which class and why it is happening. So with the help of we can solve it.
Okay, so you're familiar with Spring Boot, right?
Hmm. Yes.
So can you just explain, like in brief, what happens when a Spring Boot application spins up in the background? How is that? What happens in the background when we start a Spring Boot application?
Okay, okay. So we can say in Spring Boot application like build process. So code first like complete the package. We can say I package using the like a build tool like Maven we are using. So during the build, like all the project dependency download first, and like code are compiled into bytecode. So like with the help of JVM it will do, and there create a jar file, package into executable jar file. And Spring Boot like also include embedded server, we can say Tomcat. And jar build is already like contain the server and the required libraries. And we run jar files, like Spring Boot starts the application by bootstrapping the application context and performing component scanning and creating beans and string has already embedded server. So after that application becomes we can handle the request accordingly.
Okay. Um, 1 second. Um, this is Did you ever? How would you configure multiple databases in your Spring Boot application? Suppose I want to configure, like two databases. Both are of same,
Hmm.
uh, database like Postgres and Postgres only, but they are different connection. We have connection strings and everything.
Hmm. So, like, we can configure one database with the help of Spring Boot automatically. So, like, if we need like configure multiple database, so like, suppose Postgre database and one is MySQL database. So, I usually like define separate data source configuration for each database. So, like, first I define database properties. Inside the properties file, like MySQL database data source, username, password, and driver name, and like PostgreSQL database configuration also I have to mention, like Postgre data source, my username, password. And after that, like, we create one configuration class, separate configuration class. So they're like where we create three beans. So first one means that return data source, second one return entity manager factory, and third one return transaction manager factory. So with the help of we can do it, and there we can annotate it at the rate configuration property. So with the help of like we can access particular property, and we use at the rate enable repository. So inside it we pass base package and transaction manager and entity manager. So with the help of we can configure.
Okay. Um, you mentioned like in your project value first, you debug this uh, production issue using Kibana.
Hmm.
So, like, what is the like? How did you solve it? Like, what's the resolution you did? Like the step by step. How was your experience for that production issue? Like,
Okay, so like so in one of my production issue, like so like we noticed some values were getting occurred in the we can say vendor data. So like first step, like I took was verify the issue from production logs and a database record to confirm like that data was actually incorrect. So first we can say like I checked application logs and error traces, and after that I verified the recent deployment and code changes. After that, like I checked the database records and queries, and then I tried to reproduce the same issue in the sandbox environment, we can say. So we are like same request payload tester, and after that, like reproduce the issue. I identify the what is problem, why it is happening, what is the reason here. So like that I debug.
okay. Um, can you like you have also worked as microservices, right? Can
Yes,
you
right.
define like the architecture of microservices?
So we are using MVC architecture here. So suppose like there we are using API gateway also. So first any client hit any request, so first come on API gateway. We can say like it is an entry point. So it route the request to appreciate microservices. So they are like a control, so particular like controller layer are there. So it handle the http methods, like performing like getting mapping, get mapping, post mapping, put mapping, like that. And it sent to the service layer, and service layer sent to the repository layer. So in repository layer, we can say like it perform database operations. So with the help of we can do it.
How basically two microservices communicate with each other? What are
So
the different ways?
yeah, so there are like two ways, synchronous and asynchronous way. So with the help of synchronous, like we use REST templates. So the for this, like we can create we can add one dependency, and we create one bean. That one class return to the bean. rest template bean, and after that like we call a get for object, so we have to give only url. So with the help
Okay.
of we can do it, and one another is fin client is also there, and asynchronous way with the help of kafka we can do it.
Okay, like how can we achieve asynchronously with Kafka? Can you just give an explanation?
Yeah, so with Kafka, like we create one bean Kafka template. So with the help of Kafka template has one method send message. So there we can pass the topic. So with the help of we produce the data of particular topic, and we have to create one another class, listener class. So that one class is annotated at the rate Kafka listeners. So there we can listen particular mass topics, that one subscribe, we can say that one topic subscribed from the consumer.
So in your project, where did you use Kafka, like to what to what part of the code you made it asynchronous using Kafka? What was the logic you wrote?
Yeah, so mainly used for communication, we can say. So in our organization, like Kafka for, like we can say, event driven communication between services, and one place there like Kafka implemented asynchronously was
Yeah,
after.
for what purpose? Like, w- what is the purpose that is serving for your application? Like, the flow basically. Like, is it for notifications or what is it for your use? Suppose usually what happens is we use Kafka like to trigger, email notifications. When something
Mhm.
happens, we push that event to Kafka message
Mhm.
topic, and then the listener picks it, and then it sends an email to the user, something like that. So, what is that use case you guys are, using that kind of architecture there?
Yeah, so so alert times also we are using like successfully send alert. So that time we used Kafka, and they are in my organization we are using Kafka like in different way also. So there are some jobs also running there. So like there we create one topic, so on particular topic they send the vendor send the data, like Samsung, Nokia, they send the data, and after that be processing that one data with the help of their, because there we are running some jobs, so there we are parsing JSON parsing doing. So with the help of we find the important fields only. So that one fields we are sending to the another topic. So that time also we are using Kafka.
Okay. Mm, 1 second. This is um. Just give me a moment.
Mhm.
What idea you use basically for development?
ID,
Yeah,
IntelliJ ID.
I mean the tool. What tool you use for your development? IntelliJ.
To, yeah, IntelliJ.
IntelliJ. Okay. Once. So, can you share your screen? I'm sending you one kind of
Hmm.
chat. I'm just sending you some scenario basically. Oops.
Okay. Is it visible for you?
Yeah. What is this gonna? Can you expect? The predict the output for this. What's the log gonna print the answer as?
Mm, so we can say like it will because in this case like output will be false because
Can you?
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Can you please explain?
So because it is false because like a double equals to v, so compare object reference is not the actual string value, we can say.
Okay, so what I should use to actually compare the string value here?
So because we can say inside the heap it is comparing the reference
Yeah,
value.
no. If I want to compare the string, what can I use here instead of that
Equal method.
equal method? Okay, okay. One minute. So this is uh, what services of AWS you're having used in your project?
So S3 service I have used Lambda expression and sorry Lambda, and Elastic Beanstalk also I have used.
EBS, okay.
IAM, yes.
So you guys have Kubernetes self-hosting, or you're using your Amazon managed EKS?
In my previous organization, we are using Kubernetes only, Docker Kubernetes. But in Infosys, I have used AWS. So there, I have worked. Yeah.
Okay. Docker. How would you basically, if there is a lot of data in our database, and you want
Mhm.
to optimize an API, improve the performance, what would be the steps you would take, to improve the performance of that particular API if you have a lot of data in our DB?
Mm-hmm. So, firstly, we can reduce the transfer data with the help of pagination, sorting and pagination. So, with the help of we can do it, and we can use caching also because with the help of caching, like we can fetch frequent data with the help of caching. So, we don't need to hit again and again in database. So, with the help of also we can, and we can use optimize queries using indexing. So with the help of also we can do it, and we can use the asynchronous processing. So with the help of we can do like multiple tasks we can done in parallelly. So with the help of we can do it.
Okay. Mhm. So this Swagger you mentioned here. So how are you guys building? Like basically, is it from is this reverse engineering or what? Like you build the Swagger from the code, or you first build a contract and then from the contract you start developing?
So yeah, it means we can say like it is a UI. We can say like it is a UI of APIs. We can say so.
How do you generate that Swagger basically?
So we can say for Swagger we have to add some properties inside the application dot property file. So with the help of we can do it. In my first project I have do it, but uh, I I
Okay.
forgot that one steps. But
Mhm.
only inside the application dot property file we have to mention some
Okay.
properties.
Okay. MongoDB. What is the difference between this NoSQL and SQL database? Like when to use what basically?
Okay, so SQL database we can say like we store data in structure format like in table format like table format like row columns. And NoSQL database we are using for like document format or JSON format. So that time we use NoSQL database. And SQL database, we can say like it is a fixed schema, but NoSQL database we can say it is a flexible schema. And NoSQL we can't use joins, but SQL database you support joins and relations.
Okay. So when would you like what would be the scenarios like why we should use when to use SQL and when to use no SQL? How would you define like
So we can say like if we want like data store in table structures, so that time we use MySQL database we can say relational database we use. But when we want to store data like document format or JSON format, so that time we use NoSQL database.
I mean it's the same thing like document or table, the value is
Hmm. But we can say like as SQL database, we can say like we need transaction asset properties we need. So we can like need complex queries are there, but NoSQL we can say like very large data volume are there.
hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, so what is the process of your development like how, suppose if there is this Jira and you got a task or story or bug in there, like how would you approach to that? Suppose now you have a story to work on, what would be the steps you would take to make sure it goes till production? Like how, what is that step by step?
Hmm. So firstly, like we got any story from Jira, so like there some pointers are mentioned there. So firstly, we analyze that one requirement. What is the actually requirement, and how many days we have to need to complete it. And after that, that one story assigned to us. After that, we start work on that. So after completing that one, we test on local first, and after that we commit that one code on a branch we can say. And after that code review and CI pipeline is there, so with the help of build and deploy.
The branching strategy, how, what branching strategy you guys follow, like how, like
So firstly, like any task given to us, so first I take pull from that one main branch. And
so
like I
how many branches
create
you have?
one. Sorry.
How many branches you have? Like, is it just a main or you have a
Mass.
environment specific branch?
So there, yeah, environment basis also like a master are there, production code. And there some one is for develop. So it is like we can say like integration branch are there, and some
So,
features branch is also there.
so where do you usually pull the branch from and do the coding and then?
Yeah, so like updated one code, all the updated code we can say inside the main branch. So I pull from the main branch, then I create feature branch. So inside feature branch, we develop our code.
Okay, and then you raise a PR against what branch?
Yeah, for feature branch only.
Like, suppose you took a branch from main, you did your changes. I mean,
Hmm.
and basically you took a feature branch from main, you did your changes, and then you're raising the PR against the what branch? I mean, are you again just gonna go and merge it back to main, or is this the branch that you have uh, specific for development, or
No,
how?
no, I don't merge. Only I create one feature branch, and I we can say like once the PR is created, then like we can say team performance code review and CI pipeline we can say.
Yeah, that pull request, right? That pull request is against which branch basically?
So we can say like a pull create a feature branch from the main branch, and depending on the we can say project setup we can say. And after implementing changes in the feature branch, we raise a pull request against the base branch we can say.
Okay. Mhm. Um, you know about streams, right?
Yeah.
So like what are the terminal operators in that basically, and
So,
stream,
mhm.
yeah, yeah.
So terminal operation mainly Stream API is mainly used for like processing data. So there are some operations are there like filtering, matching, mapping like that. So we can say terminal operation. We can say like it produce output result. We can say it will convert a stream into list like that,
Hmm.
and it execute faster. And after that, internal operation will execute.
Okay. So suppose if there's this scenario, like um, um, I want all the names of an employee. Suppose that where he's from specific department. I would say IT department, and also I just wanted to fetch the employee. Basically, yeah. So it will be like I want to fetch the employees. Suppose there is an employee object. It has a department, salary, and name.
Mm-hmm.
Now, how would you approach write this stream API, stream basic stream, that I want to fetch an employee, all the employees who is from IT department and whose salary is at least greater than it's like 50,000, and I
Mm-hmm.
want to sort them based on descending order. So, what would you can just write a rough, not exact thing, but like, what are the steps that you can write in streams to fetch?
Okay, so according the IT department and compare salary.
Yeah, first I want from IT department, and
Hmm.
then I want the salary range greater than 5,000, 50,000,
Hmm.
and the sorting order basically the on the name basically I want it in descending order.
Okay, so firstly, like we will get employee dot get department, and
Okay.
then that one department equal we apply filter.
You can maybe just type it in this message, just maybe.
Okay.
So I've given you like just a basic thing. Suppose now this is the employee list we have.
Hmm.
Now you just try to print out from this list based on the name department. Like department should be IT, and then the salary should be greater than 50, and then name should be in sorting order.
Hmm. Okay.
So you can use that variable that I've given, the object name that I've given you, employee list.
Okay. Okay. Employee list. Okay. Yes, with the help of we can do it.
You can paste it here maybe. It's done.
Send it.
Yeah, you can just send that.
Yes, I send.
Okay, so you did try the personal sound. Hmm. So the sorting that you're doing basically comparing the name, right? This will basically it uses a default sorting which is the ascending one. What if suppose if I want to make it as a descending?
So there one method is there, reverse method. So with the help of we can do it.
Okay. Mhm. And if I see like there are chances of getting null pointer exception in your code that I've written. Suppose if it happened that the department is null for an employee, it
Mm.
breaks there.
Mm-hmm. So there we can use exception handling like or else. So I throw like.
Without even throwing, you can actually filter out. I mean, if it's a way that I want to avoid null things without throwing an exception, just filter out the ones who are having null values.
Mm-hmm.
And one more thing, like usually what we can do is like you have written either get department dot equals IT.
Mm-hmm.
So you could have written this in a different format, like reverse IT dot equals. So it have this avoids usually null pointers. Suppose if department is null, still it will not throw null pointer because IT is a fixed value. It will never be null because it's a static value you are adding. So you can always use IT dot equals e dot get department. So in that case, even if that is null, you will not get null point exception there. That is one
Mm-hmm.
thing. And also during the start of the stream itself, only you can use that filter operator to just collections dot null. Okay, you can just filter out empty list. First of all, you can just check for if it's empty list,
Mm-hmm.
and then objects dot not null also you can use. And also for the salary purpose here, if suppose salary is also null, you're
Mm-hmm.
checking for salary greater than this, there also it will throw. So you can just add a turn like concatenate it with another condition and saying like
Mm-hmm.
salary should not be equal to null.
Mm-hmm.
So these things avoid null pointer, and you don't have to make it even more complex, adding try catch blocks, exceptions, all this stuff.
Yeah, so we can say like we can use optional also for this.
Yes, yeah, that is also we can use.
Yeah. So with the
Okay.
help of we can avoid null pointer exception.
Yeah. Okay, this is good. So you're familiar with databases also mentioned as you already said SQL. If there is a way like like suppose there is this employee entity, we have name, email, and password,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't want to store the password inside the database. Just want to store uh, name and email.
Mm-hmm. So with the help of transient keyword, annotation we can use. So with the
Okay.
help of we can do skip.
Yeah. Okay. So I guess
Hmm.
I'm good with this.
Okay.
So if you have any doubts, you can ask maybe.
Not now.
Not now. Okay, then
Yes.
maybe we can wind up this. Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Sure. Yeah. Thanks, Varsha.
Okay.
Thank you.